The first time I met Ray, it was 9 degrees in a Walmart parking lot in Flagstaff, Arizona at 3 in the morning. I had been living in my truck for 14 months. I had a sleeping bag rated for 20 degrees and 3 blankets. I was shivering hard enough that I could not feel my hands. There was a knock on my window. I had not heard anyone walk up. The man on the other side of the glass was 67 years old, gray beard halfway down his chest, a Carhartt that looked like it had been through every winter since 1985. He was holding a coffee can. He motioned for me to roll down the window. I rolled it down 2 inches. He looked at my sleeping bag, my useless blankets, the way my breath was fogging the windshield from the inside. He said 3 words. "This is heat." He handed the coffee can through the gap. A single tea candle burning at the bottom. 2 pieces of folded aluminum foil arranged inside in a way I did not understand. He told me to set it on the dashboard. He told me to crack the passenger window exactly 1/4 of an inch. He told me to come find him in the silver Silverado at the back of the lot when the sun came up. He walked away before I could thank him. By the time I woke up 4 hours later, the temperature inside my cab was 47 degrees. Outside, it had dropped to 4. That candle was the 7th trick Ray taught me over the next 11 hours. It was the trick that in February of 2011 kept him alive on the night 12 other people froze to death in the same county. I will get to that. But I want to tell you about the other 24 first. Every one of these tricks was developed from a failure. The 7th saved his life. The 25th he learned from a man who died. Before any of them, I need to tell you something. The men I know say the average distance between a paid mortgage and a parking lot is 14 months. That number is from the Federal Reserve. It was published in 2023. Almost nobody reported it. If you have been laid off this year, if your savings have run out, if you have stopped opening the mail, this video is for you, whether you served or not. The fastest growing demographic of people sleeping in vehicles in this country right now is not Vietnam veterans. It is men over 50 who had office jobs in 2019. Ray has been living in his 2003 Silverado for 11 years. 4 states, 200,000 miles since he loaded everything he owned into the bed and locked the door of an apartment he could no longer afford. He served as an Army medic from 1969 to 1971, 14 months at a forward aid station in the Mekong Delta. He came home to an airport where a stranger spit on his uniform. He has not talked about the war in 53 years. He told me one sentence about it on the morning I met him. The first 6 tricks are the foundations, the things you do before you ever lie down. Trick 1 is window covers, not the cheap reflective shades you buy at a gas station. Ray uses Mylar emergency blankets cut to fit each window and attached with small neodymium magnets. They cost $11 for a full set. From outside, the windows simply look tinted. Trick 2 is the sleeping position. Do not sleep flat on your back. Blood pools in the lower extremities over 8 hours, and you wake up with your feet swollen. Ray sleeps on his side with his knees drawn up and a small pillow between them. Trick 3 is the 2-jacket rule. You sleep in a thinner jacket and use the heavy one as a blanket. Wearing your warmest insulation while sleeping causes you to sweat, and sweat at 20 degrees will kill you. Ray learned this his second winter in Reno. He sweated through his Carhartt, woke up wet and hypothermic. He does not remember the last hour before sunrise. He thinks the only reason he woke up at all was because a delivery truck pulled in next to him at 6, and the engine vibration shook his cab. Trick 4 is where you park. Ray ranks lots on a 6-tier hierarchy. Tier 1 is 24-hour Walmarts in towns under 30,000. Tier 2 is hospital lots. Tier 3 is hotels after 11 p.m. Tier 4 is truck stops. Tier 5 is church lots on weeknights. Tier 6 is residential streets, which Ray avoids unless he has no choice because residents call the police faster than businesses do. Trick 5 explains the Walmart hierarchy in Tier 1. About 40% of Walmarts now post signs that prohibit overnight parking. Ray keeps a mental map of every Walmart in his rotation, and he updates it every 6 months. Trick 6 is the rule nobody believes until they have done it. You never sleep with the engine running. Carbon monoxide accumulates even with vents open. The CDC documents at least 60 deaths annually from sleeping in idling vehicles. Ray watched a man die this way at a Love's truck stop in New Mexico in 2016. The man was 71. He had a small dog with him. The dog survived. Ray took it to a no-kill shelter the next morning and never knew the man's name. Trick 7 broke every rule the others followed. It is the one no survival manual will tell you to do because the lawyers will not let them. Ray will tell you. I am going to tell you. Trick 7 is the candle in the coffee can. February of 2011. Ray was parked behind a Cracker Barrel in Amarillo. He had been living in the truck less than a year. A polar vortex was descending across the southern plains. The forecast was -4. By sundown, it was -9. 12 people died in that county that night. One of them was a man Ray had nodded to in the lot at sundown. The man was 61. He was sleeping in a Honda Accord, 2 spaces down, no window covers, no candle, a sleeping bag, and the engine of a 1998 sedan that would not start at 4 in the morning when the temperature inside the cab dropped to match the temperature outside. Ray survived because of a single tea candle in a coffee can, a 19-cent candle, a free can he had washed at a gas station sink, 2 pieces of folded aluminum foil arranged to direct the heat upward. He had learned the technique the previous summer from another vet at a campground in New Mexico. That vet told him the British Army used variations of it in the trenches in the First World War. He told him the Inuit had used seal oil lamps inside snow shelters for centuries on the same principle. He told him the difference between a candle in an enclosed space and a fire was that the candle did not consume enough oxygen to suffocate you if you cracked one window a quarter of an inch. The candle raised the interior temperature of Ray's cab from -9 to 43 over 7 hours. He woke every hour to check it, to crack the window slightly, to adjust the foil. He says he did not sleep at all. But he woke up. The man in the Honda Accord did not. Ray has carried a coffee can and a box of tea candles every winter ever since. About 120 candles per season, $14. He has not used a propane heater once. He has not run the engine for warmth once. The next 7 tricks are daily rituals. One of them, Trick 12, is the most counterintuitive thing Ray says he has ever learned. He has explained it to 6 men. 3 of them did not believe him. 2 of those 3 lost food they could not afford to replace. Trick 8 is the 4 a.m. departure. You do not stay until sunrise. The security shift change happens between 5 and 6. The morning manager arrives between 6 and 7. Anyone in the lot during that window draws attention. Ray learned this his 3rd month. A guard found him at 6:15, asleep in a Kroger lot in Albuquerque. The guard was kind, an older man. He let Ray pull out without filing a report. 2 weeks later, a different man tried the same lot at the same time. The new guard was different. The man was arrested for trespass. He had been sleeping in a 2008 Hyundai Sonata with his 9-year-old daughter in the back seat. She was placed in temporary state custody. Ray has never been able to find out what happened to her. Trick number 9 is the Planet Fitness shower. $10 a month gets you showers, lockers, and air conditioning. There are 2,400 locations. Ray keeps every address in his rotation in a spiral notebook. Trick 10 is the public library. It is the only place left in America where a man can sit for 8 hours in a heated room with no expectation that he buy anything. Ray spends about 4 hours of every day in one. He is indistinguishable from any retired man with time on his hands. Trick 11 is the mail forwarding loop. It costs $18 a month for a private mailbox at a UPS store in Phoenix. The address looks like a suite number in an office building. Every piece of mail in his life goes there. Trick 12 is the cooler in winter. This is the one I told you about. In summer, you keep food cold with a cooler and ice. In winter, you keep food from freezing with the same cooler and no ice. The insulation that keeps cold in during July keeps cold out during January. And without it, food in the cab freezes solid overnight. Ray has been using the same Coleman since 2014. The 3 men who did not believe him lost different things. One lost a week of groceries he had bought with the last money he had for the month. One lost a bottle of insulin he could not afford to replace and ended up in an emergency room in Yuma. The third, Ray will not talk about. Trick 13 is the single propane canister rule. If you cook outside the vehicle, carry 1 canister at a time, never more. A second canister becomes fuel for a fire if the truck is hit. Ray learned this from a man in Tucson who had 3 canisters in the bed of his truck when another driver rear-ended him at a stop sign. The man survived, the truck did not. He lost everything he owned in 70 seconds, including a photograph of a son he had not seen in 11 years. Trick 14 is the phone charging hierarchy. Not the cigarette lighter. Ray uses a 100-watt foldable solar panel he bought at Harbor Freight in 2019 for $94. It charges a small battery bank that powers his phone, his flashlight, and a small LED lamp. The next 6 tricks are different. The first 14 were about your body. The next 6 are about hiding from people who would call the police, and the moment those tricks fail, your night is over. Ray has had them fail twice in 11 years. One of those failures is in Trick 20. The other one I'm not going to put in this video because Ray asked me not to. Trick 15 is the angle you park at. Park nose in, driver's side facing the perimeter. Most patrols move clockwise. Ray parks so the patrol sees only the back of his cab. Trick 16 is the dome light. You disconnect it. The single biggest giveaway that someone is living in a vehicle is the dome light turning on when a door opens at 4 in the morning. Ray pulled the fuse in his second week. Trick 17 is bedding that looks like cargo. Ray keeps his sleeping bag rolled inside a black duffel that looks like work gear. From outside, his cab looks like the cab of a man who hauls construction supplies. There is one exception. Ray's daughter sent him a quilt his wife made before she died in 2009. He keeps it folded inside a Home Depot tool bag on the floor of the passenger side. He has not unfolded it in 7 years. He is not going to use it. He is not going to sell it. It is just there. Trick 18 is the 2 license plate trick. It is not legal in every state, so I'm not going to recommend it or explain it. Ray says it has saved him 3 times. That is all I'm going to say. Trick 19 is the Sunday morning church rule. You do not sleep in a church lot on Saturday night. You sleep there Tuesday or Wednesday. On Sunday morning, the lot fills up with families, and you become visible. Trick 20 is the eye contact rule. This is the failure I told you about. When a guard or officer approaches your vehicle, do not make eye contact through the window. Roll the window down. Look at the steering wheel. Say good evening, sir, or ma'am. Explain that you pulled over because you were tired and you did not want to drive while drowsy. Do not say you live in the vehicle. Do not say anything that triggers their training. 90% of the time, the officer tells you to move along. Ray has been moved along 43 times in 11 years. 2 tickets, never arrested. He remembers the face of every officer. One of them, a Phoenix patrolman in 2017, asked Ray his unit and his years. Ray told him. The officer was quiet for a moment. Then he put a folded $20 bill in Ray's hand through the open window. He told Ray to be careful out there. He told him he was sorry. Then he got back in his cruiser and drove away. Ray has not spent that 20. It is folded inside the truck's owner manual. The next 4 tricks are about surviving your own body. The 23rd one, the pillow position, sounds trivial. Ray says it is the difference between waking up and not. Trick 21 is the water bottle. You drink exactly enough water before bed to stay hydrated and not 1 ounce more. The moment you have to get out at 3 a.m. to urinate is the moment you become visible. Ray keeps an empty wide-mouth bottle with a screw-top lid under the driver's seat. He does not enjoy talking about it. Trick 22 is compression socks. Sleeping in a vehicle for years raises the risk of deep vein thrombosis significantly. A blood clot can travel to the lungs and kill you. They cost $14 a pair. Ray has worn out 12 pairs in 11 years. Trick 23 is the pillow position. Head and torso slightly elevated, not flat. Acid reflux at 3 in the morning inside a sealed vehicle will wake you up choking. Ray uses a wedge pillow he bought at a thrift store for $4. He learned this from a man named Daniel he met in 2015 in a campground outside Sedona. Daniel had been living in a Toyota Camry for 6 years. Daniel woke up one night in August choking on his own stomach acid. He could not breathe. He thought he was going to die in the front seat of a Camry in a Walmart in Kingman. He survived. He told Ray about it. Ray bought the wedge pillow the same week. Trick 24 is the stretching routine. You cannot wake up at 4:15 in the morning and start driving without injuring your back. Ray has a 5-minute routine he learned from a chiropractor at a free clinic in Tucson. It has prevented, by his estimate, somewhere between 12 and 20 trips to an emergency room he could not have afforded anyway. I am going to tell you one more thing about Ray at the end of this video. Something that happened the morning after I left his truck for the last time. But first, I need to tell you about Trick 25. Trick 25 is the rule Ray learned from a man named Howard Mitchell. Howard slept next to Ray for 4 months in 2018 in a campground outside Sedona. Howard was 64. He had been living in a 1997 Ford Bronco for 2.5 years. Howard had taught Ray 3 of the tricks on this list, including the dome light fuse and the wide mouth bottle. In November of 2018, Howard parked at the same Walmart in Cottonwood, Arizona, for 4 nights in a row. He had a regular routine there. He knew the manager by sight. He liked the way the morning sun came through the eastern windshield of his Bronco. On the 5th morning, He did not wake up. The autopsy listed the cause of death as a heart attack. He was alone in the vehicle for 19 hours before anyone noticed. The heart attack was not the lesson Ray took from Howard's death. The lesson was the 4 nights in a row. You never sleep in the same parking lot 2 nights in a row. The reason is not heart attacks. The reason is that the moment you become a recognized fixture, the moment the manager learns your face, the moment the cameras start treating your truck as part of the scenery, you stop being invisible. You start being known. And the moment you are known, the system that has been carefully calibrated to look the other way has nothing to look away from. It is required to act. Howard's body was inside the Bronco for 19 hours because the manager had stopped checking that corner of the lot. He had decided, without ever saying it out loud, that Howard's truck was just part of the parking lot now. Ray has not slept in the same lot twice in 11 years. He rotates through about 40 locations across 4 states. If he dies in his truck tonight, someone will find him within 24 hours. He says this is the best he can hope for. He says Howard taught him to hope for it. Tonight, somewhere in America, there are an estimated 700,000 people living in vehicles. The Federal Reserve estimated in 2023 that this population has grown by approximately 140% since 2017. The fastest growing demographic is men over 50. Veterans are overrepresented by a factor of approximately 3. I went home the morning after I met Ray. Not to a house. I did not have a house. I went to a small apartment I had managed to rent the week before using a deposit I had borrowed from a brother I had not spoken to in 3 years. It was the first time I had slept inside a building in 14 months. I lay on a mattress on the floor of an empty room, and I could not sleep because the room was too quiet and the heater was too loud and the walls were too close. The thing I have not told you yet is this. A year later, in February of the next winter, a package arrived at the UPS store in Phoenix where Ray collects his mail. He almost never gets packages. He drove down on his usual rotation and the woman at the counter handed him a small box with no return address. Inside was a coffee can, a single tea candle, 2 pieces of folded aluminum foil, and a folded sheet of paper with 3 sentences written in pencil. The note said, "I got an apartment. I do not need this anymore. Pass it on to the next one." It was signed with my name. Ray called me from a payphone outside of Flying J in New Mexico the next afternoon. The conversation lasted 4 minutes. He told me he had given the coffee can to a man named Carlos, who was sleeping in a Toyota Tundra at the same Walmart where I had met Ray 2 winters before. Carlos was 49, Marine Corps, 2 tours in Iraq. Ray said Carlos cried when he handed him the can. The chain goes back, I imagine, to the first man who slept in a vehicle in this country and figured out something the next man needed to know. The 25 tricks in this video are real. They were lived in by men whose names will not be in any history book, in parking lots that will not be on any map, on nights that will not be remembered by anyone, except the men who survived them. I owe Ray more than I will ever be able to repay him. Ray owes Howard. Howard owed someone before him. The chain holds because the men inside the vehicles refused to let it break. If you served, drop your branch and your years in the comments. If you have ever slept in a vehicle, drop the state where you did it. If you know someone who is doing it right now, do not say their name, but tell us they are out there. We read every comment. Subscribe if you want to keep finding out what the system would prefer you never learn. Next time, we go inside the underground network of veteran-run safe houses in the American Southwest in the 1987 Department of Defense memo that explains why the system was built to fail these men in the first place.